Joe, Michigan does the unthinkable yesterday. Maybe I'm saying this wrong. Maybe it wasn't the unthinkable, but they do beat Ohio State. A lot of people thought and knew that Michigan was down this year. But yesterday, Ohio State loses to Michigan 13-10. I like giving us praise on this show, and I got to do this here.
You love giving yourself praise.
Well, clip your own videos and put it up here.
Good point.
This is why you watch our breakdowns. Hit it.
Those numbers lie. The EPA stuff very rarely lies.
All right. As God is my witness, I promise you this. An Ohio State team that in moments and times that have had struggles running the football, they still have dudes in their D-line. You go right on ahead and you believe
they would. That was the first thing I brought up. They have two premier defensive linemen.
Oh, hold on. I gave you your time here. You go ahead and you believe yet again, like you did last Monday when I'm telling you about O-line, D-line, run game stuff, you go right on ahead because exactly what's going to happen on third down and why they've been struggling, they can't run the football when they need to. And that's exactly how it played out. Ohio State has 77 rushing yards. We broke this game down. Joe, it went as completely as I thought it would go in the sense of that they could not run the ball on third down. They needed to continue and somewhat abandon the run game. You're running 24 times. You're trying to run the ball on third down. Throw the ball. Oh, Kyle McCord's got 2 interceptions. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's how you're moving the ball. And, Joe, the incompetency in the red zone, the incompetency on third downs is what ultimately got Ohio State beat in this game.
I completely agree with what you just brought up there. I really thought that despite going into that matchup against a team that has really premier defensive line talent, and Mason Graham was a little bit banged up halfway through this game, and he fights through adversity and comes back in, they stepped up and stopped this Ohio State rushing attack, 77 total yards. But Elks, you're chiming in here, and you had the super chat earlier saying that you thought that this is on Chip Kelly and his play calling. Dude, I have to come out here and say that this is all 100% on Ryan Day. You heard, we talked about coming into this game why everything was in favor of Ohio State to blow out Michigan, that Ryan Day was so intense and focused, and you could really feel how much this game meant to him. But I didn't read into it deep enough. I didn't read into his tone and the way that he sounded, because what was apparent by the way that they played, he's clearly been shaken by the fact that they can't beat Michigan to the degree here that it is impacting his self-confidence. And his self-confidence and his self-doubt is so bad that it is leaking into the game prep. And everybody on that team played so tense, so puckered. The whole team looked off. And I can tell a team that is getting weird messaging from a coach based on the way that they play. You and I would both agree that there is a talent gap based on the fact that Michigan was starting a preferred walk-on quarterback because they didn't have anybody else to turn to. And the fact that they scored 10 points in a matchup where they were without Will Johnson and they were without Colston Loveland goes on Ryan Day. He can't get past Michigan. He can't get out of his own way. There are some coaches that just don't know how to get out of their own way and to just go out there and let his more talented team play freaking football. That's what I saw. And there's more to unpack with this, certainly, but he would be better off going elsewhere. He really does. He would be better doing what Coach Calipari did at Kentucky, because there is no way that this thing is redeemed. Their confidence, I think, is going to be so shot when they go to the playoff that they're going to lose in their first 2 games. They're not going on a run. Why would I trust them to go on a run after watching that performance?
All right. I understand what you're saying about Ryan Day. I'm not trying to protect him here. To counteract that, in fairness, you're in a situation here where your top premier athletes are not making plays either. They're 6 of 18 on conversion downs. So when you have, I get what you're saying. I understand it. When you're dropping passes on third down and you're supposed to be a first-round guy, that's a lack of focus. You expected to come in this game and blow out a rival, and you didn't focus. I know you want to say that's Ryan Day,
I know what you're saying, but I can't get behind that. But
you don't have to get behind it. You don't have to get behind it. But there comes a part where a first-round wide receiver needs to catch passes. That comes down to it. Here's the problem. After their touchdown, here was their possessions offensively. Punt, interception, 4 plays and a missed field goal. So a 3-and-out, a 3-and-out, a 3-and-out, a 3-and-out, turnover on downs, and then a 3-and-out. Joe, they got shoved in a locker in the second half. They got shoved in a locker. And so when they could not line up and run the football, you're asking Will Howard to do the one thing that he's not built for you to do. So if you can't establish a running game, he is not going to beat you over and over and over again throwing the football around. It's not how they're built. They kept lining up on third downs trying to establish the run game. And I'm like, look, man, the 6 that you converted are through the air, or 5 of them are. Quinshon Judkins had one on third down on a little reverse or from the wing tee. But outside of that, Joe, they're not executing. Chip's not calling a good game. I don't know if that's Ryan Day, Chip. I don't know who it is because I don't have the knowledge. But there also comes a time where I'm like, Bud, like, you're getting pushed around. Now, I can excuse some O-line issues. I told you that their guard play was ass, and that it's bad. They got shoved around yesterday. But here's the real truth. I saw a team that wanted it more. I saw a team in Michigan that wanted it more. And when Ohio State got punched in the mouth, they had no response. Here's the second thing, too, Joe. Michigan had the ball for over 20 minutes in the second half. That one drive, even though it led in an interception by Weston Davis, okay, Davis Warren, excuse me, I said Weston Davis. That's an LSU player. Davis Warren. The drive was for 10 minutes. It bled the entire third quarter. They had the ball damn near the 2/3 of the third quarter, and I'm like, man, these conversions are coming back to haunt you. And you know what they did? They lined up with Mullins, and they said 3 yards in a cloud of dust, baby. And it's exactly what happened to USC against Michigan early in the year. One team broke. The long run, the 28-yard run by Mullins at the end, was a product of one team being tougher than the other two. They lined up and pounded you. They lined up and punched you in the mouth over and over and over again.
That's what she said. Lined up and pounded you. I got to get one in.
That's a good one. See, you're learning here.
I wouldn't chalk it up to that. Sorry, what were you saying?
One team was not mentally prepared. Now, let me get on the Ryan Day thing. Joe, this is over and over again for him. And these big-time games, big-time situations, Joey, he's fumbling. And I like Ryan Day. I mean, it's very difficult for me to come in here and say to fire a coach that in 6 seasons, 5 seasons, whatever it is, has 60 wins. Like that's pure insanity.
And his buyout's enormous. So realistically, they're not. It's
I'm gonna be real with you. They don't need to fire him. Okay, I'm just being real with you. They don't. But there comes a part in time where you got to look at this and say, hey, man, we're not getting over the hump. That we're there, but we can never get over it. What do we need to do to get over it? But another thing, too, Joe, I'm going to leave it alone. No, I'm not. This was your year to get Michigan. And when
that was what we said in the preview. This was the chance to embarrass them.
And you fumbled.
And you couldn't at home. But okay, wait. So this is what my take isn't that they fire Ryan Day. That's not what the take is, because they can't. I mean, they're so tied up, and he has the resume. It would be hard to like justify it based on the money that goes towards buying him out. I feel like that Ryan Day and what he has discussed and shared, and how it has negatively affected him and his family. Like, just being like dead ass for this for a second here. I don't know why he would want to stay. This is only going to get worse. You couldn't get it done when you were facing first-year head coach Sharon Moore. When they're about to start they're already building up a recruiting class right now. Like, they pulled a 4-star safety today from Clemson. He needs he needs to leave. He needs to go somewhere else, whether that's the NFL, maybe it's taking the North Carolina job, which is a great job. I just don't see how he redeems this. You just said that you got to figure out how to fix it. $20 million and Chip Kelly is how you fix it. And he couldn't get it done in the easiest matchup he's ever going to have.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bad loss, man. And here's another thing on not firing him thing. How many years did it take Harbaugh literally in this rivalry to get over the hump? 7?
Yeah.
So in some instances, it's funny. Here's a parallel about state or big rivals. Mike Norvell did not get fired, okay? And it gave Billy another year. The whole Mike Norvell thing, it affected Billy. So, I mean, take a page out of your rival's book. I mean, it took Harbaugh a while. Now they're going to say that he cheated, but you get the point that I'm trying to make here. Joe, Michigan being 7-14 on third down is what won them the football game. The 7 that they converted, it was 3 or 3rd short. Okay? Mullins got carries on damn near every one of them. They kept converting over and over and over again. And that ultimately broke the back on that critical third down for Ohio State where it led up to the field goal and they got it. Okay? Mm-hmm. Look, man, you got broken. You had one team that you played their game. Sad thing is, man, you make both of those field goals, you win the football game. So you did do enough. Here's the thing that I'll say about Ohio State's defense. I thought that they did enough. When you hold a team to 13 points and you have the offense that you did, you should win. And that's the scary thing. And by the way, your 2 highest paid coaches are offensive coordinators. So it's not the side of we were so worried about Ohio State 2 years ago about on the defensive side of the ball where they were when Jim Knowles came in.
Yes.
Now the inverse has completely happened with this, and the defense continues to stand up in big moments. They hold Oregon to a field goal, and you can't go down a field and score. Like, those are the crazy things about all this. It's the inverse has happened. They've worried so much about it's the same thing that happened to Ole Miss in a way. They went out in the portal. There were so many different things that they were worried about defensively. It was their focus. And then just like with Ole Miss, what happened with them, when you only focus on one side of the ball for so long in those issues, other issues take hold. They do. And look, you asked Will Howard to do I don't want to say the impossible, but things that are not built in his wheelhouse. You cannot do that. And that's going to continue to get you beat here.
My final thought on this, and you bring up Will Howard, and there was plenty of Kyle McCord discussion, which we're going to praise Syracuse in a little bit. I forget which former Ohio State player it was on Twitter that came out yesterday and pointed out the way that Ryan Day had acted during the halftime of the national championship game, the one that he reached, and how he was pointing fingers. And I feel like that has always been, the whispers of how Ryan Day has acted. And that was what I had heard, how he handled the Kyle McCord situation. When Kyle McCord was demanded to start, which is not how it played out. I really do wonder what could have happened if you gave Kyle McCord the situation that Will Howard stepped into with all those receivers and running backs and the defense in one more year to really embed himself in the program before he moved on. I will always advocate for, there are rare instances where a incoming transfer quarterback will be good enough to lead his team to the victories that you're seeking to achieve. You're always better off keeping a guy within the program.
Definitely is there, Joe. The built-in connection with receivers is instantly there, to your point. I'm with you.
And to run him off, and even if he does demand a start because you said that you were bringing in competition for him, which is still BS. The guy was a highly touted recruit. He started and had a couple of he had a number of bad plays that cost them games last year, but still had good performances. Yet we wanted to get rid of him. To do all of that for Will Howard to play worse than he did in this matchup at home is not on Will Howard, but it's pathetic on Ryan Day's part. Was his evaluation of the situation, was that we need to go get Will Howard and he's going to fix those problems. We're not going to throw those 2 interceptions against Michigan. Look what happened. The whole inability to prepare his team for success is where I'm done with Ryan Day. I don't think that this is redeemable. I really do not.
Yeah, it is.
How?
Play
Throw
and
more money at it?
No, play and win a national title.
Do you seriously, before we move on to the next game, do you seriously think
I don't know because
mentally they can bounce back and go on and win a national title?
Yes, because if they get an 11 seed, hypothetically, like remember when we saw Ole Miss a couple of weeks ago in the 11 seed and they had Boise State, then like Arizona State, and then they're in a national title game? Yeah, yes, I can see it. If they're seated in the right spot, yeah, I can see it. You play 2 weaker opponents, you win those games, you build up your confidence, you might get a little bit healthier in your back. It all depends on where they're seated at this current moment, in my humble opinion.
I think it's a long shot. I got to be honest. I think it's a long shot.
It may very, very, very well may be. All right.
BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.